Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is my Birth by Sleep Critical Terra walkthrough. This is going to be covering the Enchanted Domain. It's going to be broken up into two videos. The first will be the environments and the enemies and the and then the second will be the boss. So you're introduced to the Unversed, which is this game's equivalent of the Heartless, and this is a tough stage for Terra because you are at the lowest level you will be in the game outside of leveling up, and the enemies can hit pretty hard and kill you pretty quickly, which is what you want from a difficulty, I think. You want to die fast, you want to be like, wow, that's, yeah, I should avoid that next time maybe. And additionally, you're not going to have the spells, you're not going to have the abilities that are going to make you the player that you will be later on, because the more magic that you get in this game, and the more you mess around with the synthesis, the stronger you will be at any given point. The fundamentals will, of course, need to be solid for the groundwork to succeed, but once you understand the principles of movement and evading and countering, all you need to do then is get the moves that will help you benefit those, as I do the quick counter there. And the blocking in this game is sublime. I really do wish Final Fantasy 15 had just ripped the combat off of this, because if it did, guys, I would still say that that game had a shit story. I would still say that the majority of the stuff that game has you doing is arbitrary early 2000s generic tired MMO bullshit, but it would also have this framework of amazing gameplay, because the combat would be so sweet, and all you really do in that game is fight, fundamentally. Once you get right down to it, all you do in the game is fight. And if it was this combat, I would put up with anything for this, because I really like the combat in Birth by Sleep. I think it's the best it ever was in Kingdom Hearts, because the block works, the dodge works, it's got all this extra stuff if you want to use it and you don't have to, and it has combats that's just sound, it feels good, it's well designed. I really enjoy it. I didn't enjoy the combat in 15. Sorry folks, I just didn't. I'm baffled when I hear people who tell me that they did, but then I realise what world I'm living in, and I quickly just kind of accept it. But so here is our Terra. This is me messing with some stuff. What am I changing? Changing some cameras maybe, and then we can push forward. So in some of the campaigns in Birth by Sleep, you can do these interesting little speedrun sequence breaks where you'll do some of the aerial dashes, some of these awkward jumps, and then you'll pick up stuff like glide early that'll enable you to do things you shouldn't be able to do, or you can pick up a spell that's incredibly overpowered for where you are, like Fish and Faraga and stuff like that. But I can't remember if any of them apply here for good old Terra. You see the delay though between his dash? Couple seconds of that delay, that's enough time to die in this game. Ventus and Aqua's cancel into themselves, so you can infinitely dodge without delay. Terra can't do that, so you have to be a little bit more disciplined with your dodge. And if none of that was making sense, check out my playlist, guys. I have the other characters in there where I played as them. You will see the difference between how you can just egregiously spam the dodge and have almost blanket immunity. It's just like Type 0, where you can hold a button and a direction and your dude will teleport around, giving you almost 99% safety. It's very similar here, but just not with Terra. This gameplay, for those wondering, was recorded on release of this game, which was the Final Mix PlayStation 4 release. Was it PlayStation 4 or was it PlayStation? It was PlayStation 4, right? Which was at the end of 2015. So I've had this footage for a long time. You may wonder, why haven't you shared it, Chris? You know, everybody wants to see the Terra run and that. Well, I decided to do it in the sequence of the characters that I'd not played as. So I did Aqua and I did Ventus first. And those two playthroughs ran on the channel for about 3 months. And by the end of it, I think people were just kind of not that interested in Kingdom Hearts anymore. So rather than bring Terra's campaign to a disenfranchised audience, I thought I'd give it some time and bring it, you know, a bit later on. I didn't realise it would be this late, because I thought we would have had that 2.8 game sooner. I thought we would have had it last Christmas. But we didn't, because for whatever reasons. So instead I'm releasing it now, and there are some downsides to doing a walkthrough such as this. A lot of my expertise in this game, of the minutiae, of the mechanics when it comes to, you know, what's the thing I'm going for at this point, what's the magic I'm building towards to synthesize. A lot of that is gone in my memory, it's just gone. The fundamentals of how to fight and what's good are still there, but a lot of my knowledge has, shall we say, been lost to the annals of my memory. It might come back in the recording of this, and when I watch things it'll trigger them, so hopefully I'll be able to guide you through. But the video itself should be enough to give you an idea of what is expected of you if you're struggling, and hopefully get you through. And speaking of struggle, the boss coming up on this level isn't it the machine that Rumpelstiltskin uses? Or is it the machine that, I forget which Disney princess it is that, does she prick her thumb and fall asleep? I can't remember. They all kind of mingle together. But it looks like a big, weird sewing machine thing. Hemp machine of some sorts. And it's not easy either. It's probably the toughest boss in the game outside of the final boss, in my opinion. Because this early on, you don't really have too many moves to get away from it. And to stop it from one-hitting you, and it one-hits you quite a lot. So the game starts very punishingly. And you'll notice that at this point with my life, it's kind of hard to see it behind the great quiff of my character. But I'm about one touch away from death from anything major. Like, that big guy does anything big, he'll probably kill me. The boss does anything at all, it'll kill me. Damage is merciless on this particular stage of the game. But it gets way easier, folks, so don't sweat it too much. There is still that atrocious last boss, which we're going to talk about at spades because it's quite a long fight. I think it's an 8-minute fight. And that's the video you're all waiting for, because let's face it, he is a dirty bastard the entire fight, and he can heal and spam heal, and it's really, really ugly. And then he kills you really quickly and doesn't do any kind of, super easy to exploit patterns outside of a few techniques that I'm going to share and some other ones. So you end up just either laying mines, which is a good strategy, or doing those invincible dashes that have elements on them so that you can dodge and do damage at the same time, and it's just kind of slow. And I think like the foundation of that fight is counters, and if he doesn't give you the patterns where you can counter him effectively, you can't do the damage that you want, because certain counters don't enable you to hit him, other ones do. It's a tricky fight for bad reasons, I think. But we're not there yet, so let's talk about some of the drive styles they call them? So do you see the dynamic link, that blue bar above Terra's head? You will never see me use that move. I don't use those moves. I never use them. I don't know why. It's one of those pride things. I don't know why I have pride in not using them, but it's just a thing. I use them to heal outside of battle. That's how I use them, because they fill your life when you activate them. But when you activate them, you go into these like super broken modes of ridiculous damage, and it kind of turns off your brain. It's a little bit like the Umbran climax in Bayonetta 2. Like, I wish it didn't exist, I really do. But it's interesting for the people who choose to use it, and I'm sure that there are applications for it. I've just never messed. It's not my thing. The focus bar, which does the shot lock, is another amazing mechanic that I neglect a lot, because when I originally played this on PSP, the input for it didn't register, so I could never use it. So I ended up beating the game on critical without using the shot lock at all, because that's just how you played on my PSP version. Whereas I recommend you use that a lot, because it's a really, really good tool for doing big damage, for getting all kinds of advantages. It's a fun mechanic, so use that plentifully if you can. Look at the hit detection on this little scrubber, by the way. Couldn't even touch him. But you'll notice I'm doing something interesting here. I'm stacking the critical impact, or the specific reward for building your command bar. And if you're new to the game and you're wondering what that is, do you notice how every time I do an attack, it fills that bar a little bit? Well, if you stack that bar a few times, you'll get the finish, which is a powerful one-hit move. And additionally after that, you'll get whatever the power move of the command style is. And you can keep it and move around the level with it as long as you don't press X, because it overrides your attacks. If you continue pressing triangle to use the moves, you can store one of those incredibly powerful moves and use it at your leisure. So you can take it into, I don't know if you can take it into boss fights, but you might be able to, but you can take it into you can do a bunch of easy fights and then carry it into a hard fight and then blitz the hard fight. And it's one of those interesting ways of essentially carrying a bomb around with you at all times if you do it correctly. And it's not something you're going to see me do too much of, but it's definitely useful. So I go to the Moogle shop here, I sell all my healing items, sell my ethers, I sell my potions, all that stuff, and I'm going to use the currency that I got for it to buy some moves. The first move I buy is poison, the second one is zero gravity. Both of these tools have wonderful applications. Use them. Poison is great. It is a move that doesn't seemingly need to hit scan, so you can hit people that are in all kinds of tricky positions and they don't have any real full dodge for it, I think, because this could be 100% bullshit, guys. It's been a while, but I remember poisoning Vanitas, and he's a dude who can dodge almost everything, but he doesn't dodge poison, I don't think, and he doesn't dodge... is it burn? There's another move. They're like status effects that damage over time, and they're really good against him because they're not physical attacks. They don't project at him, so he doesn't auto-dodge them, and that's why they work. But once again, that could be wrong, guys. I just remember poison being really good at stacking damage, and zero gravity is really good at crowd control. Any enemy that's susceptible to gravity spells is an enemy that you can prop into the air and do some serious damage to. But additionally, without those reasons for buying them, it's great to have a lot of different spells because you're constantly leveling them up when you're using them, and then you can combine them and make better magic. And of course, it's been a very long time since I remember what each of the spells combines into, but the general principle's the same. You want to have as much magic as you physically can. You always want to be leveling new magic, never keep magic on that's leveled. I appreciate there might be the appeal of using strong moves, or maybe it's your favourite move, or maybe you just really like using it, or it's super useful and a great utility in that point. But it's just not a good idea. You want to constantly be building growth in your magic and in your systems, because it'll pay you off later on. You can sell them for better stuff, you can combine them for better stuff, you can do all kinds of fun stuff, and it's just keep on top of the leveling. You'll notice right now, as soon as they've got crowns, I take them out, I put something new in. It's not me being smarter than anybody else, it's just the best way I believe to play. Because you're constantly growing, you're constantly building, and you might be able to get something ridiculous really early just because you leveled something you didn't see any use for it and it turned into a god move. And that's what I love about Birth by Sleep. There's so many ways to approach it, there's so many little nuance on top of nuances, and they look complicated as hell, but they're really not, you know? It's one of those things that just comes to you as you play, as you realise the utility of it. Like, look at that move. I prop everybody into the sky, none of them can attack because they're all suspended, and I get free air combos. It's insane. And that move can be improved and increased upon by adding other stuff to it. You've just got to experiment, guys. You'll get so much fun stuff. He blocked that. He got around that somehow. That telegraphing there's a running attack. There's the sleep. Look at that. Put two of these really tough enemies to sleep and then they can't attack. If anything, it's kind of overpowered. You know, you've got so many great tools. But I love that. I love a game that's not afraid to give you strong stuff. Because have you noticed how a lot of games do that, where they, for whatever reason, and I don't know what it is, they're afraid of letting the player become too powerful, or giving them something that they could deem really powerful. The move I've kept on there, guys, are for the boss. The reason why I kept the crown moves on is because I wanted to try and stun the boss, and I wanted to have a dashing move to chase him down. You'll see the boss in the next video, so thank you for watching, and you take care now.